Hey everybody, welcome back into the second video of today. We are on day 2 of Commander Master spoilers, and there have been more drops, some of which are actually quite good, so we will waste no time and jump right into the video. Thanks again, everybody, for checking out the video. If you guys have not seen my previous videos talking about Commander Masters, I did make a video earlier today covering all of the spoilers from, like, this morning and I guess late last night. We did get some better ones, but we are still kind of keeping our fingers crossed for more big hitters to really justify the price of the set. So that's where we are now. And yeah, I'm just going to jump right into it today. So first up, we've got Star of Extinction, which is a really cool card from a concept perspective. 7, destroy target land, deal 20 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Very thematically accurate there. Unfortunately, though, was like $1. So the reprint not necessarily needed, and I know they did reprint some other stuff that, like, was in the same cycle of, with it, so I guess it kind of makes sense, but as a whole, not exactly the biggest hitter to start things off. Then we've got Fairy Artisans, which is a little bit better. This is actually a decent card, and it doesn't have too many printings, and it looks pretty cool with that foil edge treatment as well, just as a random note. Again, not exactly the biggest rare you're going to want to be hoping to pull, but it's still a somewhat decent inclusion. Savage Beating is actually a really, really good reprint. This only had one print prior. It was like 30, 35 bucks-ish. Based on what I was able to find in some quick research. So sure, we'll take it. It is a mythic, which is a bit unfortunate because it's obviously going to be harder to pull, but it's at least a card that's kind of scarce and decent and actually, has some value. So, we can't be that much of, pickers and choosers with that type of thing. Now, just to note, I did leave a lot of the uncommons and comments out, unless anything was noteworthy. I just, I'm not going to cover the commons that are worth like 10 cents that nobody cares about. It's just people are going to watch, the video for, a finite amount of time, and I'm not going to waste your time with that. However, Skyshroud Claim getting a reprint here is actually quite nice. It's a $3 to $4 card, and it's only had a couple printings, so it's really cool to see it get another more accessible print here. And as a common, I think it was either a common or uncommon before. It was definitely not anything higher than that, so either way, good to see this in here. It's never bad to have options to more ramp cards, especially Skyshroud Claim, which does not need to search basic lands and obviously can help you get a lot deeper into the deck. So just sort of an honorable mention for that card. Alms Collector is actually another decent card. It's only around like $6 to $10, but it's a good card in general and, doesn't exactly have a lot of printings. It's on the lower end of rares you'd want to pull, but it's still decent enough that I guess it's an okay inclusion. Again, cards like this would be really solid if there wasn't so much bulk in the 25-50 cent range down at the bottom of the set, and that's really kind of where the problem comes in, where I think a lot of people are getting frustrated with the product. Speaking of, we've got Amenitau's Augury. I might have botched that name too, so whatever. This card was like $1 and change, so I gotta say again, not the best reprint. It was only in Commander 2018, and then it was in the Mystery Booster. It's fine. It's just, again, we're looking at more bulk, more stuff people are not really going to want to be cracking out of here. And, imagine opening your booster and pulling this as your, as your whatever extended art or whatever random treatments they might have. The one thing that will be kind of interesting is this will be the first foil printing that the card gets, so at least there's that. If you've been playing the card, because it's certainly decent, you have the option to get a blinged out version. Angelic Field Marshal is actually a decent card, especially in decks like Kalia. Decent reprint. It was like 5 to 7, so again, not crazy value, but it seems like they reprinted a lot of stuff from Commander 2014, and that's, just with what we've seen revealed so far. So this is, another decent inclusion. Not a bad card at all. I think we're going to see most of these cards reprinted here in terms of the bigger Commander Lieutenant mechanic cards. Now, we said we wanted big hits, and we got one. Cyclonic Rift is a great reprint. Very welcomed reprint here. This card was going up in price quite a bit. It had last been printed in Double Masters 1. It's been a couple years, and it was back up to like 30 plus. It's just an extremely good card to have access to in Commander, and it's just something that has just not been accessible. So this is a good reprint, much needed. I don't think it's getting a full art in this. At least if it is, it hasn't been leaked. There was a full art version of this in Double Masters 1, so maybe they just decided they didn't need to double down. But again, it's a rare, which is awesome. They didn't rarity bump this or anything, so it's nice to see that it's still going to be accessible. Next up, Soul of Discord, only printed in the 2018 Commander decks, and was actually like a $10 card. Not a bad reprint here. I do expect the price will likely drop. However, the foil version will probably command some value, because again, it did not have any foil variants, and this is definitely a card that is quite good in certain strategies, and also very trolly in pods. Like, obviously, being able to make like both opponents sort of lock with each other and It's very funny. There's a lot of silly stuff you can do with it. But again, this is the kind of rare you want to see included on the lower end because of accessibility and whatnot. Extra Planar Lens is actually a great inclusion. This was a $30 card only in Mirrodin, and then it had a print in the Masterpiece series of Kaladesh. But of course, that is basically impossible to find, so this is really a one and done printing. It's getting its own full art, which is really cool, and you can obviously see the really neat design there I put on the screen. This card, we haven't actually seen what the regular version is going to look like yet, so I don't know, but it's a mythic, so it's, you know, it got bumped up to mythic from Mirrodin, but it's a really good card and a definitely welcome reprint. Again, along with Cyclonic Rift, like another solid hitter that's really adding to the list of things that's really working in this set's favor. Magus of the Wheel. I feel like this card gets reprinted a lot, but I will say this artwork is absolutely unbelievable. It's super cool, and hopefully they, you know, at least that people that play this, being a decent wheel option, will be able to get their hands on this without having to spend a lot of money. Again, I almost think this could have been downgraded to an uncommon, though, and maybe put some other rares in the rare slot, but it's, you know, alas, kind of what we're working with. Wake the Dead, not a bad card, actually pretty good in certain strategies, especially the new Sauron deck as well, Lord of the Rings. It's got some synergy there. It wasn't worth a crazy amount, but it was worth enough that it's like a decent enough reprint. It was actually only in Commander 2014, so, you know, this is more about making it more accessible to things than it is, you know, driving the price down, but still, a card like this, if it were to see play over time, could end up going up, and so it's good to get ahead of it. Avatar of Slaughter is a really cool card from like an art perspective and what it does, but it's not very good, and it was worth like less than $1 or $2. It was downshifted from Mythic, but I don't think there's going to be much demand for this card at all, and to be honest with you, it's just another example of another rare that really didn't need to be included in here, at least not in its current incarnation. You could actually get a copy of this card for less than 50 cents from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. I think it was in one of the Commander decks, so you can kind of see the idea of like, yeah, this is kind of disappointing. Similar deal with Lorthos the Tidemaker, although this card's at least much cooler, and there's a lot of people who really enjoy like the sea monster decks and stuff. It does look nice, and I don't know if it has another foil variant. I don't think that it does, so being able to get a foil variant of this, people who actually play the deck, is probably cool. Same with the Avatar, if that sees use. I will admit I'm not super up to date on my random obscure cards like Avatar of Slaughter, but I'm sure there's people out there who use it and like it, so, you know, make of that what you will. You know what I think I missed this morning? It was actually announced earlier, and I just don't think I picked up on it. Storm Surge Kraken. This is from Commander 2014 as well. So again, it looks like they were hitting almost all of the exclusives from that product. This card's actually like a $15 card-ish, not bad. Another one of the Lieutenant cards, and just decent as a whole. A relatively welcome reprint, I guess. I mean, it's not, I'm not offended by this one. At least it's useful, and at least it was more than $10. They didn't like downshift it or anything. It's just still a rare, but it's not too shabby. Now, this one, in addition to Cyclonic Rift, did have another big hitter, and that one is Archfiend of Despair. I have to say, until I saw this, I was a little underwhelmed by some of the reveals today. Not that they were bad, especially, you know, for the second part of the day, of course, but it was just nothing really kind of over the top. This card is almost $50 and is only in Battle Bond. The foil version of it's like over $120, so it is not easy to find, and they have gone ahead and reprinted it here, as well as given it a sweet foil etch treatment, which I'll show you guys on the screen here. Definitely a really good card in Commander, especially in decks that can cheat it out without having to pay the 8 mana. This is a really good card, and another big hit, in my opinion, for reprints. So we've got Cyclonic Rift and this today, and then, of course, Finale of Devastation from this morning. They're really kind of stacking things up a little bit more and renewing confidence, but I still think there's a lot of rares in here that are just not very good, and it is a bit concerning from, you know, a perspective of going into the thing and buying the set, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens, because, you know, Archfiend of Despair, definitely a big hitter, but there's still about 100 cards left we haven't seen leaked, and that's not counting any, like, variants or art styles, so we'll have to see what's going on as the reveals continue throughout the week. You guys keep it here. Let me know in the comments down below what you think for the second slate of reveals today. Is there anything you're personally interested in getting, hopefully grabbing? You know the deal. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment down below. Click the bell icon if you want to stay notified, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow with more Commander Masters coverage.